I think I'm a comic book order hoarder. Hey there, today I have a comic book unboxing video, and in this one I'm going to open up a shipment of comic books that I won at auction from the seller Infinity Comics on the comic book selling platform HipComic. However, I won these books at auction over a year ago, and I have been, I guess, hoarding or stockpiling, just keeping these auction wins boxed up here. And I have a few of these left, and I have been holding on to these for quite some time because I think that I will never be able to participate in auctions like these anymore. Now, the community has decided that it was my fault, and I was the one that ruined Infinity Comics for all of us. And for that, I kind of apologize. I mean, I feel like I had a pretty good run. I just, even if these books don't come back as 9/8 candidates, just the fact that I was able to get some key books and books that were important to me at a reasonable price in, I think, what I would consider to be high grade, targeting books in that very fine minus to very fine near mint range. Those are really the conditions that I used to target when I was bidding on books from the seller Infinity Comics. And to me, in a way, I'll never be able to recreate the magic or the run of auctions. I used to joke all the time that I can't believe that they would run 3 to 4 auctions a week with books like these that I won here, and would often really have to pace myself and try to maybe target one auction, maybe two, and then really limit myself if I could, or maybe if I had missed a week's worth of auctions, I would go big. And this is a big order. This is one of my bigger orders, my bigger collection of wins from Infinity Comics. So I've been holding on to this one for a year. These were books that I won at auction. It was shipped in November of 2024. I'm super excited to finally have this moment to share with you, to go through what I won. So I'll go through the books, talk about the conditions that I won at auction, and then if you stay to the end, I will show you my spreadsheet where I enter each book into my spreadsheet catalog so you can see what my final bid was for each book, and then how each book compares to the fair market value raw. And then also, if I were to get these books professionally graded by CGC, then what types of value ranges are we looking at, so I can see, did I add value or remove value from my collection by bidding and winning these books. So I've waited a long time to open this up. I won't make you wait any longer. Let's see which books I won at auction a year ago from November 2024. All right, here it is. And just for proof, right here, I know it's hard to read, but right there, November 2nd, 2024 is when this shipment was sent out to me from Infinity Comics. Weird side note, this was held at the post office, so I actually had to track this down, but I'm glad I did. And when I went through the trouble of tracking it down, then it just sat here for over a year. And with Infinity Comics, I felt like the deals were so good that I would always pay for shipping, and then there was tax on top of that. So you know that I'm a big believer in no tax-free shipping, and so this was the complete opposite because I factored all of that in with every bid, where I had added 10% plus like an extra dollar, $1.50 for shipping, and still felt like the bids that I was placing at the time, at least, was worth it. And it'll be interesting too when we get to the end to see the values. Have they held up in terms of what I bid on them a year ago? And the box itself is a little bit larger than I would expect it to be just for a box of comics. So I'm very interested to see how it was packaged. And it could just be that they added extra packing material just because it ended up being a larger order in terms of my total final bid amount. So anyway, let me get this opened up and we'll take a look at the comics. All right, let's take a look at the books that I won at auction. And first one, it's a gem. It is Avengers Annual number 10. It is the first appearance of Rogue. She's not on the cover. It's not quite the, I would say, first appearance perfect storm where you've got somebody on the cover and in story for the first time. Uh, had she been on the cover of a book that maybe came out around this same time, then we might have a Uncanny X-Men 266 or Hulk 181 situation where it's more of like the preferred appearance. But she doesn't appear until later in Uncanny X-Men. But here she is inside the story of Avengers number 10, and just kind of giving you a preview of some of these VF or VF Plus copies. Just amazing. I really can't believe that these books weren't listed as near mint or near mint plus. Maybe there's a little bit of a corner issue there. I don't know if that's tear or it's just lifting up off the page. I don't know if this would get dinged into a 9.6, but man, just a really gorgeous copy. First appearance of Rogue in Avengers Annual number 10. Next is New X-Men number 128. Ethan Van Sciver on cover art here featuring Jean Grey, Phoenix right here across the middle. Really just love all of the line art in the costume of this really great Grant Morrison run of New X-Men. This also features the first appearance of Phantom X. He is technically Weapon 13. So if you're Deadpool, Wolverine, X-23, you follow the Weapon X characters. Phantom X falls in line there and makes his first appearance in that issue. So a minor key there in X-Men. Now, this was right around the time where CGC, I think, was acquiring JSA. I decided to take a chance on this. I typically don't buy books like this because it comes with a certificate of authenticity. It looks like just a piece of paper with some names on it, but those names are Adam Hughes, Amanda Connor, and Jimmy Palmiotti. And all three of them signed this gorgeous book, JSA Classified number 1. And here are the signatures. I figured these were legitimate. There's the Adam Hughes, AH exclamation, just like the printed signature there. So it had to be legit, right? But I figured, why not go ahead and bid on this book? Because if these three creators showed up together at CGC today, it would be a minimum of $100 for the signing fee for all three, probably a lot more than that. And why not get the book already signed for a lot less? And that's what I did. Now, just kind of moving the book back and forth in the light, I do see a little bit of creasing here and right here across her boots. Yeah, right there. I did say boots. And so this I would trust sending to Palm Beach Presser to give it a nice press without ruining the signatures, and then send it off to JSA. Next is Classic X-Men number 1. This is another book that I just continue to love. I actually had a CGC 9.8 reveal in my last CGC unboxing video, so I talked about Art Adams. I talked about the interior table of contents page where he puts original art in there. Just really interesting to see this reprint, partial reprint of Giant Size X-Men number 1, but also including new art by Arthur Adams, one of the all-time greats, the inspiration for a lot of the 90s comic art, and just love it. A lot of people shy away from this book because it is technically a reprint, but really good value at a 9.8, so I continue to pick that one up, and I was bidding on it even well over a year ago. Next is Books of Doom number 1, a really awesome Paulo Rivera Doctor Doom cover. This book from 2005 looked to be in tremendous shape, so I threw up some bids on it. Picked it up. For me, the only thing I could see is a really, really bad non-color breaking crease right in here. It's not the bag. It's unfortunately right on the book itself. Right in there, you can see the crease goes up pretty badly. So we definitely need a press. It's the modern Marvel pages. You can see it, the problem actually goes something like somebody sat a cup or just put something circular on the book to create that crease. But boy, if I get that pressed out, that's a really nice Doctor Doom book. And here is a nice Black Panther book. This is the Marvel Knights Black Panther that came out in 1998. Awesome creator duo of Christopher Priest and Mark Teixeira. Has a painted cover look. Really nice, like kind of adjacent to Alex Ross, I would say. But I know Teixeira did some of these painted covers as well. And this is the first appearance of the Dora Milaje, specifically Okoye and Nakia. Okoye, one of my favorite characters from live action Black Panther and a number of other live action MCU projects. So this was the first appearance of Dora Milaje and was the inspiration for those characters. Next, we have West Coast Avengers 56 or Avengers West Coast 56, depending on your relationship and history with the title. I always think of it as West Coast Avengers. The first cover appearance of the Dark Scarlet Witch, appropriately titled here, The Witch is Back. She first appeared inside story on the previous issue 55, and now on the cover here on 56. And this looked to be in tremendous shape, like it came off the newsstand yesterday. Really, really nice. Well, it is a direct copy, not a newsstand, but still, as a West Coast Avengers fan, happy to add that one to my collection. Next is Strange Tales number 180. Now, this one is not a 9/8 candidate. I will show you right here. There are several color breaking ticks, but I wanted to pick this up. This one has a few points of significance. The first new Adam Warlock costume, second appearance of Pip the Troll, third appearance of Magus, but most importantly, the first appearance of Gamora. And there she is, right on the cover, just looking beautiful, just like her MCU persona, fighting Adam Warlock. Of course, that is not Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy, but this is her first appearance inside the story. Not a book that you see and you think of Guardians of the Galaxy and Gamora, but she is in this book, and it is considered her first appearance. So I like to pick that one up in as high grade as possible. That one's probably, just at first glance, looking more like an 8 or an 8.5. Next is Strange Tales 179, going one issue back, and now this is the first appearance of Pip the Troll. If you remember right, I think he was voiced by Patton Oswalt. He was right at the end of the Eternals movie. This one is typically tough to get in high grade because of the dark green background and the other darker elements here. Also not a 9/8 candidate, as I can see additional slight color breaking ticks, so a little bit better condition than the Strange Tales 180, so probably not an 8.5. Maybe this one gets a 9. Definitely some stress around this staple here, so maybe this one's an 8.5 and 180 is an 8, something like that, but still love picking up those Strange Tales books in a high grade as I can get them. Moving on to Sandman. This is Sandman number 2. Another book that is tough to get in high grade because of the darker elements, plus the overall just design of the cover and these Vertigo books early on. It was tough. It did have a little bit of spine splitting here, but this book looks strong. Maybe just a minor stacking crease, but really sharp corners all around. And this is something else with Sandman books sometimes. Like, at first glance, you look at that and go, oh, it's scratched. I'll give it a 7. Throw it in a dollar bin or something like that. That's just part of the design. If you kind of look at it back here out of the light, it is just part of that. And I've had a number of Sandman books where they're really marked down in price, and I pick them up and send them in and get them graded back in high grade from CGC, just because it's hard to tell. Those Dave McKeon covers are super cool, and they're fun to look at and kind of go through and analyze what he's doing with the cover. And you'll see a lot of those lines that might otherwise look like scratches or even tears, and it's just part of the design. Here's another one right here, Across the Eye of Dream. This is part of the design of the book. This is Sandman number 1. Right behind me there is Sandman number 1 in a CGC 9/8, so I'm extremely lucky and fortunate to have a second copy here that looks to be pretty strong. It does suffer from a little bit of the same spine splitting there, but overall a really strong, nice looking copy of Sandman number 1. There's the top corner, same with the bottom. Really nice. And these are all books that Infinity Comics listed as, VF, VF plus, VF minus, things like that. And it really was just a matter of targeting certain books and then also scrutinizing the scan, really going through each scan myself personally. And so I remember I always had some criteria where if it was a listed condition and the current bid was under a certain amount minus the tax and the shipping, and I would figure all of this out, and then if it met certain criteria, then that would give me kind of a list of books to then follow up on and review the scan and so forth. And then I would further pare down, and then I would have my targeted list. So it was a process, but it was worth it, as you can see. Now on to the second stack. And in this one, we have She-Hulk #1. Just a lovely, gorgeous copy here. I'd been after this book for some time. I felt like this book was overvalued. It's quite common, and there's a number of CGC graded copies of this on the census. And I was just stubborn and really never wanted to pay fair market value for this. So this actually came into my price range, and you'll see what I bid on it when I share the order summary. But just taking a quick look at it, spine looked really, really nice. I think for me down here, this could be an issue with this corner, but all things considered, looks really nice. A little bit of color loss there, but I don't see anything at first glance that would prevent it from being in the 9/8 conversation. Spine has just a few very, very minor, tiny spine ticks, but nothing that breaks color. So really, really nice copy of She-Hulk #1. Now we're going to get into a run of X-Men. Here is X-Men 166. This is from 1982. It's the first appearance of Lockheed, the very tiny dragon that was the companion of Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat. And we've got the X-Men on the cover, once again fighting the Brood in this double-sized issue, X-Men 166. And the next one, X-Men 212. This is the first time that Wolverine and Sabretooth battle. And this book is notoriously damaged because of the black and orange cover. And I can see here just the two smallest of color breaking ticks right in here that might prevent this from getting a 9/8. See them right there. But other than that, the book looks gorgeous. Super sharp edges, sharp corners. Maybe the corner sharpness will allow it to get pushed into the 9/8 candidate round. But another book that's kind of eluded me in high grade, and one of the all-time great Wolverine covers as well. Next up, Uncanny X-Men #134. And we are in the heart of the Dark Phoenix saga here with the Hellfire Club, John Byrne, Terry Austin, another book that is just typically beat up pretty badly. And even this one in a high grade copy has, again, a couple of significant color breaking ticks here. But this is part 6, and this is the issue where Jean actually becomes Dark Phoenix. So such a pivotal moment, pivotal issue in X-Men lore from 1980. It looks to be in pretty decent shape. You know, if I'm giving it a rough guess, probably 9.4, 9.2, 9.4. A tremendous high-grade copy for this book. Probably has a little bit too much damage to be a 9.8, but took a chance at it. The copies that I have are really bad, like reader copies, so wanted to do that. And then the big prize, I would say, for me anyway, although several in here are great keys and gems, this is X-Men 135, one of the great all-time John Byrne covers, again with Terry Austin. Byrne and Austin, arguably the best duo on X-Men ever. And with Jean Grey becoming Dark Phoenix in the issue previous, 134, this is her second appearance as Dark Phoenix and her first cover as Dark Phoenix from April 1980. And I'm a little scared to kind of zoom in on this one and look, because would love to see this get a 9.8. But let's take a look here. A little bit of a corner issue. And this to me is probably borderline manufacturing or just sort of general splitting. It's tough. That one's really tough. And CGC kind of goes either way. Sometimes they classify it as manufacturing and they'll just kind of leave it as like a natural newsstand, newspaper type comic book defect rather than wear and tear. But boy, the spine looks so good. Really, really nice. Just going slowly over it. Really, really nice looking book. And the bottom corner may have saved the grade on this because it looks sharp, nice, good to go. Obviously, all of these need to be rebagged, boarded, and scrutinized. The back cover typically anywhere, but also notoriously from Infinity Comics. That's where you see a lot of the dirt and the grime and some of the other defects. But boy, that X-Men 135 looks like it could be a candidate for submitting to CGC. This is why I held on to this order for so long. The books in here, I'll never be able to have the opportunity to acquire books like this at the prices that I did. And so for me, this was really me subscribing to make sure that you make the acquisition, get the books in your possession, and deal with them in time when you can. It just took a little bit longer than usual. But there it is. Those were the books that I won at auction from Infinity Comics. Now I'll show you what those final bids were on these books, and I'll compare those final bids to fair market value in the order summary. All right, here is the order summary for these books that I won at auction back on October 26, 2024 from Infinity Comics. I will miss you. And my total bids plus shipping plus tax, I was out the door at $549.71. One of my most expensive sets of auction items that I won. But like I said, I felt like I had one shot at this to kind of get it right and pick up these books. And now if you go to Hip Comic, it's just not the same. It's still Infinity Comics, but the scans are terrible. They will not show you the back side of the comic. And it's just too much risk. I refuse to participate in that. And it's very tempting, I will say, when you start seeing these same books show up there and you're like, oh, this is just like it used to be. It's not. It's very unfortunate. And I haven't probably won any books from them since, I think, late 2024, early 2025. I haven't done anything with it. I've gone to other sources to pick up new raw books. Let's go through this one quickly as you've been staring at the data, and you can see the numbers. You can see some of the final bids. And then if you look at the cover price fair market value, these values, it's the highest value for the book regardless of conditions. Sometimes cover price, if there was like a more recent sale of like a VF copy that was more than near mint, it doesn't make sense to me exactly how they do it. So I always just say, well, I'm targeting near mint books, so just give me the highest value. So you can see here, Sandman #1 was listed as a VFNM as an example, and I won the book with a $96 bid. And then if you add tax and shipping, as I apply the $17.12 shipping across all the books in this order, total cost was $105.12. And the current cover price fair market value is $105. So the value has held up or has gone down or up, or however you want to look at it, but really not a whole lot of movement here particularly for a Sandman #1 raw around that $100 price point. And that was kind of my thought. Let me get the comic at as close to fair market value as possible, and then we'll worry about CGC later. And let me show you the summary here. When we look at the total cost for each book, and if I add those up and my math is right, $549.71, so that's with tax and shipping distributed, and then compare it to the cover price fair market value in column U, then you can see I've added $179.29 of value to my collection if I were just to keep these books raw. Now, let's point out a couple of reasons why this is so positive. Strange Tales 179, that one, my total cost was $14.76. It has a cover price, high grade, fair market value of $94. It's probably not $94 raw in that condition. When I add the grades, you'll see the cover price, fair market values adjust a bit too. Same for Strange Tales 180, the first Gamora. I paid $58.01 for that book, adding almost $36 of value to my collection. That one is probably close to the 94, but still, because of the condition probably being more like an 8, it's going to drop probably in half, I would imagine. Big loser here, surprising to me. Maybe I did overpay. At least I thought I was getting a good deal. $73.34 is what I paid for She-Hulk #1, a loss of $15.34. And I feel like this book has gone down in value, I think because people realize just the quantity that's available. It's a very available book. And I think people are still disappointed with She-Hulk in the MCU that they just associate the book with it too much and have dropped it. Another loser in terms of raw fair market value, Classic X-Men #1, I paid over $24 for that book. I've been getting it recently for a lot less than that. It has a fair market value of $11 for a loss of $13.29 of raw value. Here's a random one. Books of Doom, $30 for that book. I got it for $8. Black Panther #1, $16, got it for $9. West Coast Avengers 10, got it for $3. So this was kind of part of it. Remember, at $3.53, that's after tax and shipping on top of that too. Going back to the X-Men books, X-Men 134, getting it at 46.33. I can kind of understand that. It's a typically damaged book, and that book, that copy, too, had some damage, and I think just that's probably a fair price, around $40 for that book in, probably like a 9.0. So if you're thinking of like a live claim sale and someone's holding up to a camera saying, here's a VFNM copy, you kind of get excited like, oh, maybe I could press that into a 9.6 or something like that. And somebody says $40. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Cover price, fair market value, and that's 71. X-Men 135, interesting. I paid almost $60 for it, $70 fair market value. I love that book. Love the cover. Love how Dark Phoenix is like grabbing the X-Men logo and shattering it. I always love that breaking the fourth wall kind of stuff where it's like, yeah, we're going to interact with the comic book cover a little bit. And it's always kind of fun to me. Now, the other thing that's fun to me is putting in the grades. I target these with the hopes that they're all going to get 9.8, right? So if you look at some of the conditions back here, VFNM, VF, VF. Here's the X-Men 128 near mint minus. The JSA Classify was a VF minus. I don't know how they graded that. VF, they're all roughly the same condition. So this was kind of my secret formula, was finding these books in this condition with the thought that they would get bumped to 9.4, or they might just be graded incorrectly and be 9.4 raw. So now that I've plugged in these grades a bit, the raw value estimate has dropped to $100. This is where the cover price values, it just gets a little weird to me. Like, why would it go down if the grade went up? But that's just cover price. But more importantly is now we're seeing the CGC values. And here, if I were to send all of these books off to CGC, then I would look to add about $385 of value, and that's after I paid for the grading fees. So these are other factors that I would put in where I was trying to figure out what my bid should be. I always wanted to make sure there was a little breathing room so that I could pay for pressing fees, grading fees, and shipping fees, and still have some money left over in terms of value. So in a 9.4, that Strange Tales 180 is $185. It's going to be tough. Like if you see it as an 8.0, $99. It's, a slight CGC value add of 17. So it's borderline worth it to send it in, but most likely at an 8.0, I would just keep it raw and be happy with that. But just keeping things all consistent here. Avengers Annual #10 in a 9.4, $140. I paid $46 for it, a nice $70 potential value add. And this is if I just say, you know what, I think all of these books need a little bit of a press, and maybe they'll all just kind of come back 9.4s on average. There's still a lot of value here. And again, this is value on top of all of my costs factored in. So that's where this comes from. Now, the last bit is always fun for me. What is the absolute ceiling? What if I struck gold and all of these books were 9.8s, which we know we're not because we looked at the Strange Tales books. But what I do like is seeing the Strange Tales 180 in a 9.8 at almost $1,700, because I like to see the ceiling, I like to see the room, and I like to see where the 9.8 value is pulling up the values of the other grades as well. And a lot of these numbers jumped. If they were all 9.8s, then I would stand to add $4,785 worth of value to my comic book collection if they all got 9.8s. We know it's not, but it's still fun to look at it. And like I said, I like to see books with a higher margin. I don't want to spend $70 on a raw book when the CGC 9.8 is somewhere like 150 or 175. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'd like to see the potential there, and the percentage potential is what I factored in when I was deciding on what books I wanted to bid on. Now, I've talked a lot about the She-Hulk #1, it's still a $400 CGC 9.8, so that's where, again, it made sense for me to spend the $73 because I could potentially add over $300 of value to my collection there. Avengers Annual 10 in a 9.8, sitting around 600. That seems really high right now in kind of the state of things, but could be a nice $530 gain if that one comes back into 9.8. I'm just kind of eyeballing some of the other ones that I thought were 9.8. New X-Men 128 I thought was a good candidate. That's going to be around 100. Classic X-Men #1, I love that one at $200. To get it somewhere between 10 and 20 bucks is amazing. I love that one. Books of Doom at 131 for that one. Black Panther #1, $106 with the key first appearances in there. That one's surprising that it's only 100. And West Coast Avengers, $52. But back to the X-Men real quick. X-Men 134, you can see, I think from a cover perspective, 135 is more attractive, but 134 being the first appearance of Dark Phoenix, that one's going to, be a little bit more desirable in terms of character appearances. And also, just for whatever reason, that one's really tough condition-wise. So that one's sitting at almost $450 in a 9.8. I don't think that one's a 9.8. I do think X-Men 135 has a shot, so that would be a nice value bump there. X-Men 212, as I mentioned, a key book, a tough cover, $245 for that one in a 9.8. And I grabbed that for just under $26. Lastly, the Sandman book, Sandman #2, second issue, not commanding as much for that one at $193, but only paid $9 to get it. So I love that, spending under $10 to get a near $200 potential CGC 9.8. And Sandman #1, still holding strong at $470 there for a $340 potential value add. Now, for me, this was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to go through these books, a lot of fun knowing that a lot of these books, it's my first time owning a copy of them, She-Hulk #1 in particular, and I'm thrilled and I'm happy. I'm also just a little sad because this was part of my, I hate to say it, but it was part of my everyday routine. I was going through and preparing for as many Infinity Comics auctions as I could. Putting spreadsheets together, running the numbers, and then also, once I kind of built my report of what books I wanted to target, then I would find some time in the afternoon or evening or early next morning with a cup of coffee, and I'm just going through scans. I'm just looking at online scans of the books, going through, zooming in, and it was, I mean, it sounds weird, but it was a big part of my life. It was a big part of my comic book collecting life and my journey. I'm super grateful and thankful that I had this order to go through, that I had the opportunity, that I had the money to spend on these books. And I'm also super excited to see the journey that each one is going to take, whether it's raw in my collection or you may see it in a future CGC unboxing video. Let me know what you think of this order. What are some places where you're getting some books at auction? Is it still eBay? Is it live claim sales? I'm really sad that Infinity Comics is kind of, it was a really great honey hole for a while, and now it's gone. The honey hole is closed up, and really curious to know. It's one of these where we all kind of don't want to share maybe where we're getting books because we don't want others to figure it out. But this was always something that was part of my channel and the videos that I created. Is I wanted to share and I wanted to show like this is one angle that you could take with collecting, and this is one source where you could find really great comics. Thank you for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.